Hello everyone, it's Jess Conto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to Wasteland Talks, my weekly talk show where I talk about whatever the hell I want. And this new segment that we're trying out here on the show is called My Life in Film, where, not gonna lie, this is not an original idea. I've heard other people do it, and I thought it'd be fun to do it on the show and bring on different guests to try it as well. And the best guest to start and try things out on is me. And hosting this episode, kind of guiding us through, is my wife, Jess. Jess, thank you so much for coming on.
I'm contractually obligated to, Shane.
Thanks. That sounds so nice. But this is...
He loves it. Look at him.
The idea of this is that we're going to go through every year of my life, and I'm going to tell you what my favorite film is from that year. So, Jess, where are we starting?
1991.
Correct, because I was born November 19th, 1991, so I slipped right on in there right before the end of the year. So, 1 month before. Not close enough to Christmas where I get just a single gift for both.
Oh, boy.
Worked out perfectly. And I get Thanksgiving right around there, too. So I get free food and
right
time off from work, which is lovely. But for the year 1991, it had to be Terminator 2 Judgment Day. So I'm a humongous robophobe, and I hate the machines, and Skynet's going to take over the world. So obviously I love the Terminator movies, despite the fact that only 2 of them are good. One's alright, and probably the rest of them are mediocre to atrocious.
Bad.
So at least the first 2 are great, and T2 Judgment Day is one of the greatest action sci-fi films of all time. Arnold Schwarzenegger has a babyface turn this time around and becomes a hero. Teams up with Sarah Connor, who's now a total badass this time around. And the action's incredible. The special effects are mind-blowing from James Cameron with the T-1000, Robert Patrick's character, who's like liquid metal. And so many great lines of "Hasta la vista, baby."
Playing 5D chess with each other, too.
Yes, it's so good from start to finish. And also, that ending.
Aw.
That thumb up in the air, I'm like,
and yet,
this movie made me love a machine. How dare you, James Cameron? But yeah, so T2 Judgment Day is my favorite film from 1991.
solid choice. 1992?
1992 is Unforgiven, which this is kind of the death of the Western as like a consistent genre in film. We sure get like sprinklings of Westerns. Like we're about to get 2-3 hour halves of a film Horizon, the American Saga from Kevin Costner, who's keeping those Westerns alive. Really, it's Taylor Sheridan who's keeping Westerns alive. But Unforgiven is a fantastic revisionist Western that kind of rips down the mythos of what Westerns are, but delivers one of the scariest figures in the history of Western cinema, which is Will Money. And through most of the film, Clint Eastwood gives an amazing performance, one of his best of his career, as this aging man who's trying to break good, and then they thought he was out.
So hard.
They pulled me back in. And when Money rides again at the end of this film and lays waste to this town of people, it's just... that's cinema right there. And Clint Eastwood, this is one of the best films he ever directed as well, and has such a great cast with the likes of Morgan Freeman and Gene Hackman and Richard Harris.
He's, what is his name, British Bob or whatever?
English Bob.
English Bob.
English Bob.
I went for the alliteration.
Little Bill Daggett,
Bob.
who Gene Hackman's, it's like...
Is Gene Hackman?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's the sheriff. Oh my god, this has some of the best quotes. It's just like, I don't deserve this. Deserves got nothing to do with it.
Chef's kiss for that.
Damn,
I quote that
so
pretty
good.
regularly.
It is such an amazing quote.
I also love the hell of a thing killing a man. You take everything he's got and everything he's gonna be. I'm just like,
So good. So impeccably written. And Clint Eastwood had this like for 20 years, the script. He's like, I'm going to age into this and do this movie.
He got old.
And he did.
He lived specifically so that he could make that film. No other reason. He just...
And then he got bonus life for another like... another like 30-something years.
He wrote
because he's 90-something.
20 years. He's 94.
Yeah. He's going to release his last film. I kind of believe him, because, like, if you've seen him lately, like...
Oh, he's looking old. He's looking and sounding pretty old.
Very old. So it'll be interesting when the Jury Number 3 comes out, which is going to be his last film. That was almost me. There you go.
1993.
So, this is the year that Jurassic Park came out and Schindler's List.
Oh boy, what a...
But I'm still going to pick The Nightmare Before Christmas, because... How can I? Henry Selick, who deserves way more credit than he'll ever get for this movie, because it says Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. He was directing Batman Returns, if I'm not mistaken, the same exact time this movie is being made.
I've heard the two have a lot in common.
Vibe-wise, sure does. But, like, I love every song. Like, from start to finish, the music in this is incredible. This is one of the most impressive technical feats in the history of cinema, making this full stop-motion film. It's 75 minutes. That's 75 minutes of moving puppets and shit. Like, little tiny things. If you ever watched Parks and Rec and just saw that one scene where Ben makes, like, 10 seconds of a stop-motion animated shot of film in, like, in a months. So, like, the technical prowess and just the voice acting. Danny Elfman singing voice along with Chris Sarandon bringing Jack to life. And Oogie Boogie Ken Page is so fantastic. And just from start to finish, this is such a delightful film. And it works for 2 holidays. So, like, basically, you could just keep watching this through October through December. And it just works.
Yep.
And also, Hot Topic wouldn't exist. What? Hot Topic would not exist.
Perhaps also Hot Pockets. There's no way to know.
See, now I'm creating conspiracy theories on my channel. No, Hot Topic would not exist if it weren't for Nightmare Before Christmas. Like, they basically made the vibe of that store. So there you go.
1994, I think.
So this one is...
Shane denied me notes.
You're just counting years,
He was like,
Jess.
yes, you can count.
There you go.
It's fine. Those are pictures. It's okay.
I know, it's just pictures, Jess. I'm using my letterbox list that I created just for this episode.
Love that.
So, Shawshank Redemption, like Pulp Fiction, Forrest Gump, Shawshank Redemption will always be remembered as the year 1994 in cinema. And how everybody's pissed off now that Forrest Gump won a bunch of Oscars. And Shawshank won nothing. Like, nothing. This was shot by Deakins. It looks amazing. Frank Darabont is the peak director for directing anything Stephen King wrote. And this story is fantastic. I'm not even a big fan of Tim Robbins as an actor, and his performance as Andy Dufresne's great here. But Morgan Freeman as Red is just... I guess it's because I'm Irish.
Just beautiful.
Which makes a lot more sense in the novella when, he's a ginger. They should have, because it's great. The whole sequence with Brooks will make me tear up and get emotional every time I watch this damn movie. And it's incredibly uplifting. And I don't remember the character actor who plays the warden, but God, he's so good. And then Clancy Brown as the head guard. Ooh, it's just so good. There's so many great moments with it. It's wonderfully put together, and it's a very moving film.
1995.
12 Monkeys, let's get weird. So, Terry Gilliam... I always forget
it's that old. I always forget I'm that old.
And then everyone watching this video who happens to be around our age is like, that's all, that was 30 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You're welcome. Enjoy those feelings. But no, so yes, 12 Monkeys is almost 30 years old. Next year it will be. But this Terry Gilliam film takes, is it La Jetée?
Yeah,
is the French film, which is a bunch of still photos. I know what the title looks like. I don't know what the title sounds like. I'm just trying get some reinforcement.
I can't remember if it's feminine or masculine.
Because it's French.
Yeah.
But this, Bruce Willis is giving
right
one of his best performances in his career. And Brad Pitt is completely unhinged.
I love that from him.
He's having such a blast. And this world that Terry Gilliam creates is so fascinating. And how this threads in, like, motifs from Vertigo, one of Hitchcock's best films, which also is my favorite Hitchcock film. The time traveling is so inaccurate and wild, and it just fits the idea of a Terry Gilliam world that, like, nobody has any idea what the hell they're doing, and it's just going wild. And just the crazy twists and turns the story takes, just blows your mind by the end, piecing it all together.
1996.
Fargo. Yes, the movie that should have won Best Picture at the Oscars instead of The English Patient. But this is going to be the first of quite a few Coen Brothers movies coming your way. But this is probably like, if somebody told you what's a Coen Brothers movie like, it's Fargo. It balances the hilarity of just their dark sense of humor and their silly sense of humor, which is an interesting mix in itself, and then the heavy drama that they're able to deliver. Because, like, this is dark. Mm-hmm. A lot of people die in this
and even
movie.
that part where she has dinner or whatever with her former classmate, and it gets real weird.
I'm just so sad.
Oh my god! Even
it's so uncomfortable. Like,
that gets dark too, because you're like, ooh, cringe, and you're like, ooh.
Frances McDormand earned that Oscar because she is amazing in this film. You betcha, yeah.
We love a strong.
It's like, I don't
protagonist.
Yes. I'm about to barf. I am not sure I agree with your police in there.
It is a little
DLR?
It's what is it, Minnesota nice?
Yeah. That DLR. I believe it's dealer plates. She's so good in this. And, God, William H. Macy is so slimy.
He's gross.
So slimy. And then Steve Buscemi and
Also
Peter
gross.
Stormare as those two hired hitmen is just so fantastic. Like, I want to go to...
Pancake.
I want pancake house. We just had pancakes. I want like a steak or something. And just the way that like he looks like he's gonna murder Steve Buscemi any moment. Spoiler alert. But like,
30-year-old
movie? This is so dark and hilarious, and just like funny looking. Everybody's committed to the bit. It just looks amazing. Everything post Barton Fink, where Roger Deakins took over shooting every Coen Brothers film, just looks absolutely amazing. And this is so stark and beautiful and so well shot. And very unexpected, because they know how to do awkward, unexpected violence in movies better than anybody.
1997?
Let's get on my soapbox here and tell you why Titanic should never have won all those Oscars and why L.A. Confidential is the best movie of 1997.
I have one question, though.
Yes.
Is there a shipwreck in it?
No.
That... deal breaker.
It's a deal breaker for Jess, not me. This is an incredible neo-noir capturing that 50s era of Los Angeles.
I definitely like this better.
Perfectly. This film found the perfect balance of having a crap ton of characters and storylines and threading them together so perfectly where it doesn't feel convoluted and too confusing.
Also love the baby carriage scene.
Down
the stairs and then...
That's the Untouchables.
Oh. Same era though, right?
Isn't that the 20s, 30s? Well, that's
any
that's
time
Al
before
Capone.
the 60s is old time, yes.
Well, that's Al Capone era. Chicago, the Untouchables. Yeah.
Alright, well this one's Russell Crowe. He punches a lot of people.
But Russell Crowe does punch a bunch of people and almost murders Guy Pearce.
If you love watching Russell Crowe just take out his anger on everyone.
He breaks a wooden chair with his bare hands.
He's all gas, no brakes.
Yes. Russell Crowe, Guy Pearce, Kevin Spacey, fantastic trio who lead the film. And then you get James Cromwell, David Strathairn, Kim Basinger, Danny DeVito, and just this endless list of fantastic character actors that bring this story to life.
Danny DeVito is not in The Untouchables.
Correct.
Okay, neither is Russell Crowe.
Correct. Okay. This was actually Russell Crowe's first big American film, and Guy Pearce.
And what a film.
Indeed. And should have won a bunch of Oscars, including Best Picture, but that's just me. You ready for more Coens?
98, I think.
It is The Big Lebowski, which this was a bomb. A serious bomb when it came out, but this is like the cult classic movie. This is the cult film. There is a whole religion to the dude at this point because the dude abides. Jeff Bridges, I don't think has ever been better. He's just so good as...
He's playing himself.
The dude, Jeffrey Lebowski. And the greatest, I'm saying this, the greatest supporting character in the history of cinema is Walter Sobchak. And John Goodman should have won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for this movie. Because he's that damn good.
I love that time, or a scene in the diner where he's like...
I'll get you a toe. Painted.
He makes a scene, he's like, I'm going to finish my coffee. I'm finishing my coffee.
And he's just like, I'm going to finish my coffee.
I don't care.
I'm going to finish my coffee. I'm...
He's so indignant.
I'm calmer than you, dude. Calmer than you. Calmer than you, dude.
My mom... the scream my mom scrum at the end with... You know, the end.
With the ashes
going the wrong way. She like literally yelled. It was really funny.
This is hilarious, and this film is the perfect example of why the Coens are the best at making supporting characters and minor characters, because every single character in this movie is memorable.
Jesus.
You don't F with the Jesus. It's like,
what is
he's a pederast, dude.
What is Philip Seymour Hoffman's character's name? Brent?
Brent. Oh my God.
Love him too. I love Brent.
Mr. Lebowski. I think my favorite moment, and this is a little one, for Brent is when the Big Lebowski passes the envelope over to the dude, and Brent's like, and he sits back just like David Huddleston, and they're just like, he's just like nodding along with him, so self-assured. This movie is so funny, and it's such a great homage to like old school noir films and like PI pictures. Your brother Seamus.
He's doing basically the same thing, just with less pizzazz.
Yeah, and
just fumbling his way through it
and finding the most random weird people along the way.
Oh, I love the Jackie Treehorn thing where he's writing down a number and then he does the thing and it's just
a dude with a giant dick, and he's just like,
love that,
because he's like. Looking down at Gutterballs is the greatest scene in the history of cinema, and just dropped in to see what condition my condition was in is one of the best uses of a song in the history of cinema.
That was like a song written out of spite.
Yes, it was Kenny
Old
Rogers
man yelling at Sky,
being like, I hate this psychedelic rock music, so I'm going to make a song better than all of them that's psychedelic rock music.
It's a great song.
And just Gutterballs, Saddam Hussein running the bowling alley.
Oh my God.
Just, you mean, what are those beaver pictures? Like, you mean vagina pictures? Oh, Big Lebowski, dude.
I got a beaver picture to recommend. Alright. 1999?
And it's The Matrix. Because, like, 1999 is The Matrix. I feel like some people pick Fight Club, and I'm not one of those people.
I'm not in that phase of my life anymore.
The Fight Club was never that movie for me, but The Matrix is such an amazing amalgamation of so many different genres, from kung fu movies, those martial arts movies, science fiction, action. It's hard science fiction wrapped in the package of an action movie.
That's why I was so confused by it.
And Keanu Reeves is like perfect for this. Whoa. As Neo. And Lawrence Fishburne, but Hugo Weaving as Agent Smith is like, I hate this place. I hate the smell of it. And just like all of that, the final battle between Neo and Agent Smith is one of the coolest fight scenes you're going to find in a movie. It has so many great moments, has shocking moments. Joey Pants, Joe Pantoliano's character, just such a bastard. And it's such a fascinating film that, similar to like how 12 Monkeys uses motifs from Vertigo. This uses motifs from Alice in Wonderland in such an interesting way. And then it was so much deeper even for the filmmakers than they even anticipated. It's such a fascinating film that it's always going to be one of the greatest sci-fi films ever created. It's just not going to not be. Also, well, the leather stopped being cool, but like the movie's still cool.
Depends on what circle you run in.
Fair.
2000? 2000.
Oh, brother, where art thou? So, more Coen Brothers. This movie, speaking of music, like Nightmare Before Christmas, the music from start to finish here is absolutely incredible. It brought back bluegrass music.
It was the best-selling soundtrack of all time, I
think.
think.
It's crazy. Man of Constant Sorrow was a cultural minute. Like, it made that much of an impact back in 2000. And George Clooney as Ulysses Everett McGill is one of the most fun protagonists you're ever going to find. It's like, what a geographical oddity. 2 weeks from everywhere. and Jess likes to say she has the gift of gab. And so does Ulysses Everett McGill. And also the Cyclops.
I'm a little less on the, yeah, he does.
Big Dan Teague.
I'm a little less on the criminal side of things.
Yes. Big Dan Teague, John Goodman, Tim Blake Nelson, and John Turturro, fantastic.
It's probably my favorite Tim Blake Nelson role.
He's so perfect. That's
what I should have texted George Clooney about instead of Fantastic Mr. Fox. Maybe he would have texted me back.
It's like, can you give me Tim Blake Nelson's number?
Yeah, when he messages me to fundraise, I'll say that one.
And this is such a great adaptation of the Odyssey. In such a unique and creative way.
Show this instead of,
and
I don't know.
Honestly,
Excalibur.
I'd probably watch a whole entire movie of just the political campaign between Papio Daniels and Homer Stokes, because Charles Durning is so great. It's like, this is my brain trust, aren't you, boys?
I also love if your mammy could have seen you, she would have died from shame.
Yep.
Or no, she didn't die giving birth to you. She would have died from
shame.
It's so mean.
It's so mean.
To your own son.
Yeah. I haven't seen that much cruelty from father to son since Smokey and the Bandit. Jackie Gleason was just like, pow pow! But we're going to collectively combine the years 2000, 2002,
2001 to 2003.
Because it's all Lord of the Rings.
Oops, all Lord of the Rings.
Oops, all Lord of the Rings. Because they're my favorite films of all time. It is the greatest fantasy story ever told on film. Every live-action fantasy and TV show and film are just chasing what Lord of the Rings did. Except for, I guess, Game of Thrones. Basically, all of them are either chasing Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings at this point. Depends on how much boobs you want to show. And gore.
Oh, that's true. How many women do you want in your fantasy? If it's more than 2?
And then it's Game of Thrones, and they also better show their boobs. Because that's basically how fantasy goes at this point. Which also, the only gore in Lord of the Rings
is... It's a fantasy world where women aren't shamed for having them out.
In Lord of the Rings, the only gore is orc gore, which is why we could get away with it, and it's PG-13. So there you go. Because there's heads being chopped off and stuff like that. But this whole cast is incredible. There's so many amazing actors in this that I can't... Like, I could list all of them, but this video would be way too long. But Andy Serkis revolutionizing what acting can be with motion capture. Ian McKellen as Gandalf is incredible. Viggo Mortensen... and just this whole entire crew, my favorite will always be Gimli. And I love John Rhys Davies, that Welshman, taller than everybody else. Took it for the team. Was a small person.
It's fine. All of the proportions are out of whack anyway.
The special effects are incredible. The technique of the filmmaking is second to none.
It held up pretty well.
Like,
I watched it recently.
The forced perspective on how they made all the hobbits look tiny. It was just incredible, the amount of time and effort they put into this film. And it's a classic story of evil, and more importantly, the evil inside us, because that's what the Ring's about. And trying to fight against that And just these films are absolutely gorgeous. The music, these are the greatest, most dynamic scores ever created. Because basically there's like 15 different types of music going on here with all the different themes and everything.
And you can tell where it is too. It's distinctive.
Yep.
Me, who's not good at that. 2004.
Shrek 2.
Alright.
So Shrek 2, from the start with Accidentally in Love, which we used for our wedding because it's perfect. That opening montage with all the pop culture references and everything, it just starts it. This has some of the funniest scenes in the history of movies. I will argue with anybody that night sequence is one of the best adult jokes in the history of family television. Where it's like, tonight on Nights, we're chasing a white Bronco through the forest.
Hey, I was thinking of the first one with the kid
or
whatever.
Where really it's confused. Basically cops, except it's nights.
Yeah.
And they're chasing a white Bronco.
They put pepper in his eye.
And they use a pepper grater spray on Donkey, and he screams police brutality. And Puss in Boots has catnip on him, and he says it's not mine. Mm-hmm. And Jennifer Saunders tears the house down on Holding Out for a Hero, which has one of the best, like, just Mongo, the giant gingerbread man.
Aww.
Just,
be good.
Mongo, no! And just, this film is so great. I love the message of, gotta be yourself. Mm. And people love you for who you are.
I forgot what the message was.
And even though handsome Shrek does look like Zac Efron.
If Zac Efron hit the gym a lot and also probably took steroids. He already hits the gym a lot.
Like human Shrek was not that big. Wasn't his
neck was like though.
Yeah, but look at Shrek's neck
He only did neck day.
It was reasonable.
I'm not criticizing it, I'm just saying Zac Efron doesn't have quite as
like I'm arguing that Shrek got swole by natural causes despite the fact that he took a magic potion.
Yeah.
There you go. No, the cast is incredible. Oh, Rupert Everett as Prince Charming is such a great addition. But just everybody's great. Mike Myers and Eddie Murphy. I want Shrek 5. Make it happen.
As long as it's good.
I'll at least take that. I will at least...
Shrek 3 has hurt me.
Shrek 3 did hurt me, and Shrek 4 unfairly has been forgotten to time. It's fine. It's a fine movie.
Yeah, I was fine with it.
It's just, most people don't remember it because Shrek 3 hurt us so much.
I like Shrek 4.
Shrek the Third.
Yeah. We don't love it. What year am I at? 2005.
2005 is one that's a little disappointing to me. Like, I was looking at the list, I'm like, this was not, like, a great year of films that I absolutely love. So Batman Begins is actually the top of it.
Oh boy, did I see this in theaters.
And this is I'm one of those people, this is my least favorite of the Batman Dark Knight trilogy, but, like, it's still a great film. Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul. Spoiler alert.
It's the water thing or whatever.
Where they poison the water.
Even though we're, 70% water. It's fine. We'll forget about it.
That's going to be the thing you argue about in this movie.
I cannot let go of it. I cannot let go of that. I am who I am, Shane.
Are you a chemist?
Seek not to alter me.
Are you a chemist? If a chemist comes up to me and tells me that we would also explode, I will agree with that argument.
If you're a chemist, please leave a comment.
Please leave a comment about Batman Begins.
I guess maybe also physicists, maybe?
Any scientist who's not one of us, because I have a master's in accounting and Jess has a BCBA degree in terms of psychology.
Behavior analysis.
Yes, so like
I'm gonna ask Corey Roach.
Okay, and he can let me know if I should be mad at this movie. Christian Bale's great as Batman. He didn't quite go for Batman voice. In this one. This is the most Christopher Nolan of the three movies because it has this nonlinear storytelling and how they set this all up is so fantastic. The cast is great. Cillian Murphy as Scarecrow, Tom Wilkinson as insert one of the Italian mobsters from the Batman universe because they're all in the three Dark Knight movies. It's just so great and it was a great send-off and that that tease at the end with the Joker card was perfect.
2007, I want to say?
6.
2006.
Another Christopher Nolan film, which I do absolutely love, and that is The Prestige. This movie is mind-boggling. I'm actually listening to the book, The Prestige, right now. I'm about a little over than halfway done, I think. But this is such a fascinating story of competition and greed and arrogance and pride. And Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale are both fantastic in this film. I don't think Rebecca Hall or Scarlett Johansson get enough credit for this movie, but they're also fantastic. And you even have Michael Caine thrown in there. The twists and turns of this story are jaw-dropping. And David Bowie's in this as Nikolai Tesla.
Boy, is he.
I don't know, but like it works. And this is such a beautiful looking film. And I still cannot get over when I watch this for the first time and how this movie ended. I'm just like, what? So, yeah, it's a crazy movie.
What a twist. 2007.
No Country for Old Men competed in one of the greatest battles for Best Picture ever with There Will Be Blood, which is also one of my favorite movies of all time. What a year, 2007. This film is dark and nihilistic and so Cormac McCarthy, and it is one of the most impressively shot films. It has some of the best visual storytelling you're ever going to find in movies. From start to finish, it's such a thrilling, intense, and gorgeously shot film that's also disturbing as hell. Anton Chigurh is one of the craziest villains out there, the greatest psychopath in the history of film, according to actual psychologists. And Javier Bardem is so great. I love Sheriff Tom Bell, and he's also hilarious. Tommy Lee Jones is great. Well, should I put out a message looking for man who recently drank milk? So funny. And love Josh Brolin in this. Such a great cast from start to finish. And such a dark and deeply rich thematic film, but also it's hilarious. Like, watching this again is just like, there's a lot of funny moments in this movie, and I feel like I shouldn't be laughing. So.
And yet, 2008.
In Bruges. This is the movie that saved Colin Farrell for me. And this won't be the last movie with Colin Farrell on this list. But this movie is hilarious. It's all, like, Mark McDonagh has a very similar vibe to the Coen brothers in a lot of ways. This cast between Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson on holiday in Bruges, and Ralph Fiennes. You're an inanimate effing object!
Harry.
God, and the use of the C word is so perfect in this movie. And it's hilarious. It has so many interesting themes to think about mortality and life and like a code and moral compass. And there's a lot of interesting codes that are kept to in shocking ways in this movie. It's shockingly brutal and violent at times, absolutely hilarious at others. Like, you're a bunch of herd of elephants. The Americans, a bunch of very obese families. Like, you're going to go up there? A bunch of herd of elephants. And then the husband's chasing after him, and then Colin Farrell's just like running away hilariously.
And he gets tired and gives up.
Yep.
Don't we see an ambulance near the tower later?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that right?
They
was tired and it was closed.
Because it was closed because
an American had a heart attack. Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
It's a tall tower.
Yep.
Currently closed for renovation, as I found out. 2009.
I'm going to be watching this today. Inglourious Bastards.
Oh, yeah.
I love Tarantino's alt history films. This is the best. This is my favorite Tarantino film. I know that's sacrilege to say because Pulp Fiction exists. But like...
Well, you're saying it's your favorite. Not...
I also think it's the best. But also, film is subjective.
Oh.
But...
I'll stand up for you.
The opening sequence is one of the best opening sequences in film. Christoph Waltz coming onto like the world stage as an actor, just killing it. One of Brad Pitt's best performances.
Turn and freeze. You said he's killing it. Just made me laugh because he's a Nazi.
Yeah. And he does kill people with his bare hands, or I guess Quentin Tarantino's bare hands. At one point in this,
Quentin Tarantino.
you should.
Everyone should.
Feet.
I'm surprised he didn't have him strangler with his feet.
There's a scene with feet.
There's always a scene with feet.
Exactly. But Lieutenant Aldo Rain, the bastards are so great. Michael Fassbender, who really got to shine in this film too. Mike Myers is in this very...
that's right.
They had Rod Taylor of like Time Machine and the Birds fame playing Winston Churchill at one point. The cast is incredible. This wonderful mix of American, British, and German actors. Daniel Bruhl, for the first time, really getting to shine as well. French actors as well. I think it's Naomi Laurent who plays Shoshana. And she's so good in this.
Au revoir, Shoshana.
And Eli Roth as Jaberju. Just like, oh, Ted Williams knocked it out of the park. Because, yeah, that was supposed to be Adam Sandler. Interestingly enough. But, yeah.
2010.
True
Where do I know that one?
Grit. The
what a year.
Incredibly superior adaptation of True Grit.
I saw that
because
in theaters too. So how
the John Wayne one just doesn't cut it. Jeff Bridges is so great as Rooster Cogburn. Matt Damon as LaBeef. Oh, I'm assuming you would say that the sun was in your eyes. I mean your eye. And Haley Steinfeld is so incredible. She is a star. She steals the show.
Rare to see that in a child actor.
Yeah, she's so good in this. This is such a great Western. This is one of the best Westerns of the 21st century. And it's top to bottom. It's a Coen Brothers movie. There's an incredible cast along the way. Barry Pepper.
Didn't Paige
Donald
not like
Gleason.
the ending because it's a little ambiguous? I feel like.
I do not recall. But this is such a great Western that hits all those beats in such a perfect way. It's beautifully shot because, it's Deakins. So, there you go.
I think it's shot in Arkansas, too, which is where the book took place during the fall. It's beautiful.
And that build-up and reveal of Josh Brolin, so perfect.
Cheney.
That bastard.
West Chelmsford. 2011.
Drive.
Wow, everybody in our generation's first art house film, I think.
When I watched this movie and everybody thought it was Fast and Furious. Ryan Gosling is so
my
great.
friend saw it and he was like, guys, you'll never believe the movie it really was. He was like, it was actually good.
Yeah, this is an incredibly shot
mine.
film. It's so intense. The music between College and Kavinsky, just so perfect. The neon of it all. Albert Brooks. Bisexual lighting. Albert Brooks is an incredible antagonist. It's like, my hands are dirty. Well, so am I. So are mine.
Join the club, bro.
And I'm just like, damn. And Bryan Cranston and Ron Perlman, who plays a Jewish gangster, which is a very interesting thing, in a tracksuit.
You can't be a gangster without a tracksuit. It's part of the uniform.
Depends on what kind of gang mob you're talking about.
Russian, Eastern European.
Yeah, particularly. Even Oscar Isaac is in this, and Christina Hendricks.
I thought you were going to say he's even...
This is a brutal movie, the violence and everything. But it's such a great crime thriller from start to finish.
2000, what was this, 12?
Yep. The best Bond film, Skyfall. This brings all the best things about new James Bond with Daniel Craig, mixed with all these great classic elements of James Bond. Sam Mendes and Roger Deakins bring this film. Also, I wonder how many movies are on here shot by Roger Deakins. Probably at least half. Because the next one is too. But Skyfall, the Adele song, perfect. The villain, incredible. Silva, Javier Bardem, talking about the little rats. And the coconut. And M has such a big role in this. Dame Judi Dench is fantastic in this. She's the best she ever was in any of these Bond films. Except for maybe that one line from Tomorrow Never Dies where she's like, one admiral's like, "Em, I don't believe you have the balls for this job." It's like, yeah, well then I don't have to think with them. And I'm like, oh shit!
A real win for feminism there.
Yeah. And introducing Ralph Fiennes as the new M, Ben Whishaw as the new Q, it just, new Moneypenny, just bringing it all together. And this is the most gorgeously shot James Bond film because it's Deakins. And there's just great action sequences.
Scotland's really pretty too.
Oh, and Albert Finney as a role that actually was offered to Sean Connery as Kincaid with his sawed-off shotgun, just like, welcome to Scotland. And I'm just like, yes! I wish that was Sean Connery.
There's a landscaping company near here called Skyfall, and every time I pass the sign, I'm like, why? I should probably just call them.
There you go.
2013.
Not because it's shot by Roger Deakins, but this is incredibly gorgeous, but also one of the most harrowing and unnerving films on this list is Prisoners. Denis Villeneuve roared onto the scene in America with a film like this. Hugh Jackman is legitimately terrifying. I would never mess with his child in any way, shape, or form, or get anywhere near his family because
Paul Dano didn't get the memo.
did not get the memo.
I guess the real message is if you look like Paul Dano, Hugh Jackman's going to beat you up.
Probably. He is, and Jake Gyllenhaal as Detective Loki is incredible too. There's so many great performances in this film. This has such a haunting and unnerving and creepy mystery about it. Just the way that it looks. And I don't think I've ever seen a film so horrifying just sitting there staring at a tree for prolonged 20, 30-second shot. Because you know exactly what's happening when the camera stops at that tree. Those poor little girls are kidnapped. And it's just like, nope, this... Well before Dune or Blade Runner 2049, I knew Denis Villeneuve was legit because this movie is legit for sure.
2014.
The Grand Budapest Hotel. I'm a big Wes Anderson fan. I have posters all along the front of me here, and this is my favorite of his. It's so fantastic. It is a gorgeous looking film. The colors, just the models and everything. The cast. Ralph Fiennes should have won an Oscar. Or at least been nominated for Best Actor for playing Gustav H. He's so great. There's so much great emotion in this film.
It's a good time.
F. Murray Abraham telling this story as an older Zero owning the Grand Budapest is so good. And all the cast is pitch perfect. And there's so many hilarious moments. And it's just like, I go to bed with all of my friends. And just how unexpectedly Gustav will, show his lower class status from growing up and be like, you can't be a candy ass. And just unexpected violence.
A little xenophobic.
Willem Dafoe is,
gross.
Is disturbing, to say the least. And there's so many great moments. I want to see a horror movie directed by Wes Anderson because of that museum sequence in this. And
it's pretty scary.
Yeah, Alexandre Desplat's score is just perfect. It's beautiful.
2015.
My number 2 favorite movie of all time, and one of the reasons I have the branding I do, is Mad Max Fury Road. This movie is perfect. It is the greatest action movie ever created. It is 2 hours of intensity, incredible world building, and nobody shoots action like George Miller. Junkie XL's score is unique and intense and just mind-melting. Charlize Theron is fantastic as Furiosa. Tom Hardy was the perfect person to pick up the mantle of the silent but dangerous Max. And God, Immortan Joe is one of the coolest looking villains. And mediocre!
He's so plus filled.
And just
a lot of fluids going on there.
The themes of this film are so unexpected. Nobody thought going into this movie that this was going to be like a super feminist odyssey. And it turned out that way. And it has just the best action I think I've ever seen in a movie. So, there you go.
2016.
This is one of the best years of cinema in in like all of my life. There's so many great films that came out in 2016, and unexpectedly, Silence was my number one. Because like they didn't even mention this movie until October, like a month and a half before this movie came out. They finally dropped the trailer. This Martin Scorsese film that navigates faith and religion in such an interesting way, taking these Jesuit priests from like Portugal, going to Japan and having that culture shock and that dynamic. Andrew Garfield and Adam Driver, fantastic. You wait like 2+ hours to find Liam Neeson, but for the small amount of time he's there, he's fantastic. All the Japanese actors are incredible. Rodrigo Prieto's cinematography is gorgeous, how they captured this Japanese setting, and it's so deeply rich in themes and ideas, and it'll have you processing and thinking about your own faith, whether you ever had it, whether you lost it, or you live by it,
struggling with it,
or you occasionally think about it. Anywhere in between, this is such a fascinating film.
2017.
Probably the worst business decision ever by Warner Brothers
we love them
was
for it.
bankrolling $175 million sequel to Blade Runner, and it was worth it because Denis Villeneuve created one of the greatest science fiction films ever. This film, shot by Roger Deakins, finally won him an Oscar, is downright just jaw-droppingly gorgeous. And this story, this advancement of the original Blade Runner is so unexpected. I can't help it see some of my friends for their birthday, specifically my friend Joe, and be like, happy birthday. And just be like creepy Jared Leto. Ryan Gosling, along with Drive, these stoic, intense protagonists that he's able to create. And then have something like Barbie. It's crazy. Bringing Harrison Ford back to this story, and it's thrilling, it's exciting. That opening sequence with Dave Bautista was just chef's kiss. The mystery about it, and it'll keep you on your toes from start to finish. And what it has to say about technology and machines and artificial intelligence is incredible.
2018.
Annihilation. This movie is effed up. That bear with the screaming human woman scream, where it's like, just like, I remember it. There's so many moments like that in this movie where it's just like, nope.
Yeah,
this is something else. The score,
anxiety.
like Alex Garland is a messed up man. Between Ex Machina and this and Men,
there's less dancing in this one.
Yeah, we don't get Oscar Isaac
Perhaps
cutting a
the
rug.
biggest drawback.
Yeah, cutting a rug in this one. But Natalie Portman anchors this film so great. The cast is great. The visuals, the music. It is otherworldly. The writer of these books and also Alex Garland had to have watched Stalker. Just saying. Which is also a great film, but was released well before I was even thought of. This is such a fascinating sci-fi thriller, straight up horror film that just will have you thinking for years after. Literal years. And the reaction of people at the end of the movie was crazy. One guy got up and was like, what the hell was this? And stormed out of the theater. I'm just like,
good for him. 2019.
Along with 2016, 2019 is up there for one of the best years in film in the 21st century, and there were so many amazing films that came out before COVID, and then COVID ruined it all. But my number one is Jojo Rabbit.
This was not ruined by the medical emergency.
No, there was a person
that guy's okay.
Yeah, I hope so too. But this is hilarious, and also made me want to cry.
Gut-wrenching.
Because of shoes.
Oh God, that just ripped my heart out.
The little kid performance, and then Thomas and Mackenzie, and his little buddy. So hilarious.
Oh, Yorgie,
and then Sam Rockwell is like shrouded gay performance that slowly gets more or less shrouded throughout the rest of the movie. And Taika Waititi as Hitler is hilarious. The Heil Hitlering thing with Stephen Merchant
that
was way
funny.
too like I feel bad laughing through a lot of this because like this deals with heavy stuff.
Well,
but
it shows the rigid adhesion to protocol that they have. It's
so
like,
hilarious.
dude,
It's so silly.
you really have to do that.
And Scarlett Johansson should have won an Oscar for this, and Marriage Story in the same year. She should have won too.
There weren't any funny memes from this though. 2020.
2020. Well, let's get on a string of Irish films here. So let's start with Cartoon Saloons,
wow.
which is Wolf Walkers. And this is my favorite Cartoon Saloon film. The way that it navigates Celtic culture and Gaelic Irish folklore
English
is
colonialization.
English colonialization and the forcing of religion upon the Irish people.
It's gorgeous.
It's such a beautiful film, so beautiful from start to finish. Sean Bean's great. I think it's Simon Burney who is the antagonist of the film. He is so self-righteous and driven and such an interesting villain. And the whole entire idea of the Wolf Walkers and this mythos that they bring into this film is so great, so perfect, and gets me every time.
I'm looking at it up.
Yeah, my beautiful Cartoon Saloon Irish Folklore trilogy on Blu-ray and this really cool box set that I bought.
Gorgeous.
This is a damn Apple TV Plus film, which is the only reason I got to see it. So I guess I'll accept it in 2020.
2021.
Belfast. Kenneth Branagh having this semi-autobiographical story of his life. Beautiful black and white. Buddy, the protagonist, is so great. I love the moments they go to the movies and they're watching Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and they think they're like flying off the cliff with them is so great. The love of film is so obvious here. But the cast, Katrina Balfe as the mother in this equation, she was so good, should have won an Oscar. Kieran Hines is the grandfather, and Jamie Dornan is so good as the dad, and I love that scene where he's singing Everlasting Love that was on the trailer and everything. It just, there's so many emotions that I get watching this, and it has so many great, it has funny moments, it has heart-wrenching moments, scary moments when the riots are happening, like, that's legitimately scary.
The IRA and the...
And from the moment you're listening to Van Morrison, he's the one who made the song for the film.
He's
through
Irish.
Through the beginning, and then when it cuts to black and white and fades in, you're just like, we're here for something special. And it was.
2022.
The Banshees of Inisherin. Why does it have to come out the same year as Everything Everywhere All at Once? Because it lost every single Oscar it should have because of that damn movie. And also, I guess, The Whale. Because Brendan Fraser was so great, but Colin Farrell in this is so good. And Brendan Gleeson is so good. And Carrie Condon's one of my favorite actors now because of this movie as Siobhan. And she's so good. And Barry Keoghan, just so sad.
Sad boy.
I don't even know if I could bring up Jenny because then it's just going to make me sad.
We got some closure at the Oscars, though, when they brought her. They brought the donkey who played her up on stage. She's a therapy donkey. I
did not really talk about a lot of the scores for Coen Brothers films with, why am I blanking? He does all the, Carter Burwell. His score for this movie was incredible, and I loved it. And this movie is heart-wrenching and hilarious and has so much to say about friendship in such a dark and messed up way. And I just love every second of this movie.
2023?
I didn't think Oppenheimer could be beat as I was getting through the year, but then the Iron Claw came out. Maybe it's I'm a pro wrestling fan, or because I love A24.
Or because you love getting real sad.
The Iron Claw, this movie is depressing. Depressing as hell.
A lot of these movies are.
The story of the Von Erichs is one of the great tragedies of professional wrestling. I'm a huge pro wrestling fan. I knew the story going in did not stop this movie from being absolutely emotionally devastating. Zac Efron, fantastic performance. The whole cast, just from top to bottom, did such an amazing job. Except for the guy that played Ric Flair. He sucked.
Unwoo.
Everybody thought so too. Every pro wrestling fan that saw this movie was like, what the hell was that? Was Ric Flair in this movie? But this is gorgeous. The movie that Barton Fink is writing, he thinks he's making this great tragic drama about people and pro wrestling. That's this movie. He was trying to write this, but Barton didn't have it in him. And they just wanted you were supposed to make a wrestling picture. But like this, from the opening bell, the gorgeous black and white at the beginning of this film, but just really gets you. And it was intense and thrilling and just emotionally devastating. Ooh.
2024.
And now for something extremely sexier. And that's Challengers. So Challengers is my number one film so far of this year. This threesome of a dynamic is...
a good throuple.
This throuple is something else. And that tennis match, at the very end, that last sequence, is one of the most erotic, intense, best action sequences ever put on film, and that sounds so weird saying in the same sentence, but it's Luca Guadagnino,
it's
so
a sports movie.
It is a sports movie, except it's really horny and sexy.
It's
and
a sports movie.
Erotic.
It's what every sports movie should be.
There's always a homoeroticism somewhere in there, and this was very overt because it's Luca Guadagnino, and this man is horny AF.
Boys can't hug, so they play sports.
They should have just kissed at the end.
They got close.
They literally had... Basically, they climaxed together at the end of this movie in a metaphorical sense. All three of them together. It just... The score of this, too, from Trent Reznor and Agnes Ross is off the charts. And the three actors between Zendaya and Josh O'Connor and Mike Faced, incredible. We'll have to see if this gets beat. Deadpool and Wolverine come out this year, and Nosferatu. But we'll see. But that's my life in movies. Thank you, Jess, for leading the way.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
And thank all of you out there for always tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.